Good afternoon, good evening. Hello, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. This is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the business plug. And I come on Sundays at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern to introduce you to the most marvelous people who are out here doing marvelous things in their businesses. This evening, I am so grateful to introduce you to Natalia Powers. Before I do that, though, I need to tell you that if you're looking for business plans, then go to getthebusiness.org. The information is in the description of this video. Go ahead and click the link and schedule the ready for solutions appointment, and let's get you in and get your business plan done. That's what we're doing. Now that I've done all the housekeeping, it is time to welcome our guest. Hello, Natalia, honey. How are you?
Hey, I am doing well. I am blessed. I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you for your yes. Thank you for coming. So tell the people who is Natalia.
All right. So I am Natalia Powers. I am, first off, God lover, mother of three beautiful children who are 2, 6, and 9. And I am also the founder and CEO of NataliaPowers.life, where I help Christian women become one with themselves,
Mm,
brand themselves, and build wealth for themselves. And so, as a holistic success personal brand strategist, I host a coaching program called the Queen Up program, and as well as the Shift into Success Sisterhood, which is an annual membership for self-discovery, personal brand development, and entrepreneurship.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And so you and I met some months ago, and we talked about the marvelous things that you do with for Christian women, and very targeted. So this training, this awakening that you have, how did it come to be?
Well, of course, like it came to be because of my own journey, being working in corporate America as a CPA, accountant, financial analyst for about 15 years, and also, being I was married. I had 2 children at the time, and I also was very active in my faith community. But with all of that busyness, there was just something pulling on my heart for more, And so from the outside looking in, it should have been like, you should not complain, girl. But God was just calling me to something different, to something else. And so that's when I went on my own self-discovery journey. And basically, with all of those things going on, it was a call to become closer with God, and a call to really tap into my full potential and my creativity that could not come out with all of the roles and responsibilities.
Mm.
So that's how it all started.
And we talked about how sometimes as women, we we get caught up in everything and everybody, and we lose a part of ourselves.
Yes, and that's exactly what happened to me. I began to complain about everything. Like I began to be so frustrated, and I was holding so many different positions at my ministry at the time. But even with that, I just felt like there's so much there has to be more than this, because I felt so unsatisfied.
Mm.
And so, with all of that being said, again, it was God just calling me to another place where I could be more in relationship with Him, apart from all of the religious things and the things that I was doing for everyone else. It was like it was like the call for me to come to who I really am, and to really tap into all of my power. I was flowing in some power. Don't get me
Okay.
wrong. Like I felt
Okay.
powerful, but there was just even more that God was calling me to. And so
Absolutely.
Yeah, like it when I answered the call,
Mm-hmm.
it took me through a whirlwind, you know, a lot of changes, separation, divorce, having a baby while divorcing, the pandemic, and all of those things. But now that I am on the other side, I'm like, wow, I feel lighter, and I feel more in line to my
Mm.
destiny, you know?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And let's talk about that because um that when you're in it, right? When you're in it, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration, a
Yes.
lot of being unfulfilled as a person,
Mhm.
right? Like everybody else is happy, everybody else is cool because they're getting everything they need. But you, as a woman who is the glue to many of those things, you lay your head down exhausted
Yes.
and yet unfulfilled.
Yes. And you know, I felt like I had everything that I wanted. So
Hmm.
that's the confusion started with me, you know, because I felt like I was earning six figures. I was married at the time to a minister that was like up and coming and rising. You know, I had such a beautiful family, and you know, it just all had the appearance that I should be okay. But that was the confusing thing for me, like, what is wrong with me? And
Mm,
so as I began to just do that discovery work, I really began to become honest with myself, you know,
that.
more honest with myself that there was more ministry that I wanted to be active in, and not ministry where I was just being told when I can sing, when I can teach. You know, like
Yeah.
there was more autonomy, there was more creativity in me, more authority that I
Mm,
needed to tap into. And so that was one of the confusing things. But then when I began to start to like verbalize, I am unhappy, I want more, you know,
mm.
that's when even more confusion happened because we're like, "What more do you want?" You know?
Exactly. That's when the outside, because before I think you're dealing with internal confusion.
Yeah.
Like, and as long as you kept it to yourself, you were the only one confused. But
Yes.
then, but then when you start to articulate that confusion, that's
Right.
when people who feel like you have everything in the world are like, huh? What
Right.
is wrong with you? How dare you? Like
Yes.
people want to be you.
You know?
And you like, I want to be me too. I
Yeah.
want to be the truer me because
Yes.
it feels like a facade.
It was a facade. Like it was, oh, I mean, it was so much. At the end of the day, because I did not know who I was, you know,
Mm,
because I was not one with my truest desires and my
mm,
truest dreams. Um, I was surprised. You know,
mm,
like I allowed everyone's expectations to put me in a box
mm.
that I was comfortable in for a while. But, you know, then it was like God began to knock on my door. You know, I felt like it wasn't me just being discontent. It was God knocking on my door, like there's more for you.
Yeah, yeah. And higher levels require more of you.
Yes.
Higher levels require more of you, and you have to shed some things and take on some whole new things.
Yes.
And that whole transition within itself
Oh my
can
God.
be that's
You know,
like, why these people that I thought were on my side and that loved me, why
mhm.
are they being pulled from me?
Yes. And you know, so when everything broke down with my marriage, of course, I got into a very dark place.
Mm,
I was blaming and shaming.
mm,
And also, like, you know, in a mindset of a victim, you know?
Yeah.
But the more that I healed, the more that I realized that I needed to forgive the people around me because I
Mm.
did not know myself.
Mm.
I could not tell them who I was. I could not express who I was. And so what I realized is the decisions that I made for marriage, the decisions that I made for community were issues predated before them. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and it was an identity crisis that I was going through. And so
Right.
I learned I cannot blame the people that I made agreements with and commitments with because I did not know who I was, you know?
Mm.
And that has been such a liberating truth for me.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah. Have you found that the women you serve, yourself and then the women that you serve, have their own levels of undiagnosed, untreated traumas in
Yes.
their own lives?
Yes. Yes, yes, and yes. And that's why that is why I host communities, for sisterhood, because we don't even understand how deep trauma runs.
Mm.
My community is focused on entrepreneurship, but
Hmm.
in order to be successful in entrepreneurship, we have to have the right self-image. We have to understand who we are, and a
Yeah.
lot of times we're blinded by who we are because of trauma. Trauma
Mm.
that's before marriage, before
Yeah.
our selection of friends, even before childhood trauma, just
Mm.
having intimacy with God and understanding all that He created us to be, all that He created us to do.
Mm.
So it's just like the trauma of the world,
Mm.
the trauma of humanity
Mm.
to heal from in order to be empowered to become the queens that we're destined to build
Mm.
the businesses and the communities and the solutions that we're capable of building. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
So
It's
that whole process, like first is recognizing that there's a problem.
yes.
And it's when you recognize that there's a problem, and most times it just feels like unfulfillment. It feels like spinning, like you're a gerbil on the wheel, right?
Hamster
You're
wheel.
just spinning.
Yes. Yes. So much, so much. And as women, again, as you mentioned, we take so much responsibility for spouses, children, communities, work, all of those things. We take so much responsibility for all of those. And as long as we're on that hamster wheel trying to satisfy and
Mm.
deliver and nurture and do all of those things, we will be disconnected from our own evolution.
Yeah.
What I've learned is, that those quiet times, those moments of solitude and meditation and just sitting are the most powerful times that we can experience because then we see the bigger vision. We receive the bigger vision for life that, you know, some of the responsibility we have to let go.
Mhm.
Some of the responsibility is just codependency.
Yeah.
Some of the responsibility is just dead weight that we need to let go. Stop enabling so
Right.
that we can evolve ourselves.
Absolutely. And it's learned. It can be learned codependence, right? It
Yeah,
can be learned codependence or accepted
yes,
codependence on, people put their expectations on you, and then you fulfill whatever their expectations of, regardless of how you truly feel, and not having the power to say no, or that's not for me,
right,
or
exactly. Because it's like, you know, our no can bring on so much guilt. And I
mm,
did that like before I really started to go into, my evolution process, I had to get comfortable with my no to
Mhm.
everyone else's expectations and get comfortable with my yes for more. My yes, to experience more of life and more of, I like saying this word, authority.
Mhm.
We leave so much authority on the table when we don't become one with our no to the wrong things. And so
Absolutely. And
it's
that comes out so many different ways. Like you see women who are passive aggressive, like the nice nasty. Like I'm in this place. I am not. It's not desirable. It's not who I want to be or what I want to be. So
yeah,
then I attack innocent people being
yes.
nice nasty.
Mhm.
And what I find surprising is a lot of those nice nasty people lead women's groups. Like when you meet them in person, they're one thing, right? If we can talk about that, they're one thing. But then when you see them do what they do, then they're gathering women to follow by other broken women to
Mhm.
follow along with them. And then the ones that don't fit their model, then they just break them even further.
It's crazy. I like, I mean, that extreme is so serious. Like, from the passive aggressive, um, the defense mechanism,
Mhm,
to
mhm.
the one that is more aggressive in nature, but kind of like, um, I was just talking about this recently. Some women and men dress up their shame, like dress
Mm,
up their brokenness with pride, right?
mm,
With
mm.
authority and the ability to do X, Y, and Z because of your looks, because of your position, and all of that. But at the end of the day, whether passive aggressive or any other, extreme in between, it's just a defense mechanism.
It is.
It's something blocking the way of true healing and becoming who you were created to be,
Yeah.
so passive aggressive. But that and that was why I found myself so unhappy.
Mm.
But when I began to heal, that's when I became more assertive again with my yes or with my no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, it's truly taking off the expectations of others and putting on the coat that was designed for you.
Yes.
Putting on, I mean, if you think about, attire, like, taking off all the makeup and the things with the mask and the things we put on to shield ourselves as coping skills,
Yes.
and getting down to the rawness and the realness of who you are.
Right, exactly. And one of the pillars, in one of the pillars in my framework for holistic success, the second one is the power and practice of self-awareness.
Mm,
Self-awareness can only happen as we slow down to reflect, and to
mm,
really take a deep dive into why, why am I here today? And
yeah.
and what do I truly desire? And what is in between? What decisions are in between? What shifts are in between? And what support do I need in order to make that shift and in order to truly grow into who I was originally created to be? And so, with all of that awareness to be obtained, we see now why that hamster wheel, as long as we're on it, will
Mm.
never become more self-aware. And we have to really slow down to ask those difficult, uncomfortable questions if we really want to evolve and transform.
Yeah, so I'm going to let you tell us about your program that you have. Tell us about the different pillars and things.
Okay, so there are a couple things that so with holistic success, there are 5 pillars for holistic success, and they are prioritize in order of importance. And so the number one foundation is intimacy and consistency with God, because in that intimacy and consistency with God, we get the vision for our lives. We get that understanding of who we are and what our purpose is, and also the power that we have, that unconditional power that we have to fulfill our purpose. And so that's the number one pillar. The second pillar is the power and practice of self-awareness and building healthy holistic habits to really evolve into that God-given identity and to be able to fulfill the purpose. The third pillar for holistic success is the ability to thrive in relationships. And of course, in order to thrive in relationships, it requires discernment to be able to see what relationships we're holding on to that we need to let go, and what relationships we need to embrace, though challenging they may be, when they require vulnerability and transparency and honesty. And then the fourth pillar for holistic success is financial responsibility that leads to stability, that leads to financial independence, and then freedom. And then the fifth pillar for holistic success is our ability to prosper in purpose at home, in ministry, career, and entrepreneurship. And so that fifth pillar is a culmination of all of the four prior. And we just focus on all of those things. It's so rich, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The promises of God, they are our inheritance as we pursue holistic success.
I love it. I love it because it's looking at us holistically and looking at the things, the different key points of our life, of who we are,
Yes.
of helping us to get in tune with who we were truly designed to be. And then once you're able to do that, then that support in your community continues to keep you fed, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because we hear all the time that an empty cup feeds no one.
Mm-mm.
And
Yeah.
a lot of us out here feeding people with empty cups and wondering why the results aren't showing.
Come on now.
And it's because you're empty.
Running on E.
Yeah, yeah. And so how why when we're talking, and we said a lot about the different people, the different women who should be a part of this, should be listening to this, right? Christian women who feel like they've lost their way, who are doing a lot of marvelous things on the surface,
Yes.
but they feel unfulfilled. They feel like, okay, something's missing. And what is that something? Like they need help and guidance in being attuned to who they are
Yes.
and why they're here.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I've, realized for myself, that I know very well so many women and men are going through, is we grow up, we choose a career that we think based on the test that we took or based on how much money we want to make. And so we're flowing and operating in things that we were trained in that may not be how we were created to flow.
Right.
So for me, I was in accounting, I was in, this cube and at this desk. And, it felt like a prison with gold bars, because I was making more money than I thought I would ever make.
Yeah.
And so, with that, with that financial gainful employment, and being able to travel and do different things, meet amazing people, it felt kind of powerful, but it was not the ultimate position that I was designed for, and that I was created for. And that's why it lost its sting. It lost its
Mm.
it lost the thrill was gone.
Yeah, yeah. And you get caught, you get complacent and comfortable
Yes.
when that inner voice starts tugging at you and saying, this is not it. There's
Yeah.
more. When you become accustomed to silencing it until you no longer hear it, or it's just muffled, or
Yes.
it shows up every now and then. And you still feel that frustration, that confusion,
Yeah.
that whole sense of something's missing, but you don't know where to go. So now we have a place to go. Now we have
Yes.
the pillars that you've outlined for us to help us to get ourselves back to who we uniquely were assigned to be.
Right. And so, the five things that I mentioned before are the pillars for holistic success. But then when we shift over into creative entrepreneurship, we focus on five pillars. Again, five pillars
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
relationship, which are identity, purpose, position, power, all flowing through to create your income streams, to create your shift, out of
Yeah,
the old into the new, where
yeah.
you just begin to tap into your full potential, because now it's like everything that I do is fueled from who I'm created to be spiritually first and what
Mm,
I was created to do. And so one thing that I'm always speaking on is be mindful of your energy, be mindful of the things that give you life. Um,
absolutely.
because that's how you know when you're going in the right direction.
Absolutely. And that mindfulness is intently done. So it's
Yes,
not right. It's not a subconsciously I'm mindful. No, it is actively participating, consciously present
yes,
in your rescue.
exactly.
Consciously present. Yeah. Yeah. And what does that look like on the other side? So you've gone through the pillars, you've gone through onto the entrepreneurship side. And
Mhm.
so what is the outcome that women who work with you can expect?
So basically, we, I mean, the final outcome is for them to be able to shift out of the unfulfilling 9 to 5s. But intrinsically speaking, internally speaking, these are often women who are disconnected from their divine
Mm,
power, their divine authority,
mm,
confidence, and boldness. So that's three qualities that we're always speaking on through the program. Understanding your authority to eliminate the tendency to flow in insecurity and compare yourself and working in
mm,
imposter syndrome. Your
mm,
confidence that's necessary for you to open your mouth and be heard and seen and felt in the purpose that you're flowing in. And then we talk about boldness. So there's no more hiding behind a bushel, right? No, forth, make the power moves that you need to make, and also come forth and do, build relentlessly, build unapologetically, build unashamed,
yeah.
like queen up. That's the program.
Queen up. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Queen up. I like it because so many times, I run into people and they'll say, Miss Linda, I'm an introvert.
Mhm,
And I get that. I get that.
mhm.
However, when you are doing the work of your father,
Yes.
you realize it's not about moving in silence
Yes.
and mousing down. And I love working in the back.
Mm.
And really what that's saying is I don't want to be seen. I
Exactly.
don't want to be seen.
I
I
want
don't want to be I don't want to be responsible for the gift
to.
that he has placed in me.
Exactly. And really what introversion means is, you need rest. That's really what it means. It just means that you need ample rest to recuperate. But when you get your behind up there and do what you're supposed to do.
So and and I love it. I love it. Like, I always go to Beyonce, right?
Mhm,
Because everybody knows Beyonce.
mhm.
And the thing about Beyonce, whether you like her, dislike her, or whatever, the thing about her though, she has created Sasha Fierce.
Mhm.
to go places that Beyonce's
Mhm.
courage won't allow her to flow,
Mhm.
because she realized there's a job to be done.
Yes.
You know, and I
Yeah.
think women, we need to realize there's a job to be done.
Yes.
Like if you don't show up, if you don't step up, if you don't stand up and do accept the assignment,
Right.
then the people you were assigned to serve go unserved. So it's bigger than you as an individual wanting to mouth down or to water your story or to take the back seat. You know, I love it when women who thought they were introverts come out and say, I'm not going back anymore. Like, okay, I'm in the spotlight now, and I'm supposed to be in the spotlight because I have something to say, and I have people I need to say it to.
Yes, exactly.
How powerful that is.
It is so powerful. So that's why um in the shift into success sisterhood, we start with an exercise of embodying the spirit of a queen. You know,
Mm,
this is a visualization exercise, and I kind of sneak it in and say, I want you to visualize a queen, but I don't say the queen is you until the end.
hmm
Visualize how she sits on the throne, and she's not just pretty, but she's wise. She's studied. She understands her circle. She knows her weaknesses, and she has a team in place to carry out her mission. She's not going to stretch herself beyond recognition because she understands that she needs to be seated. She needs to be rested. She needs to be on point. And so that's why she trusts her gift and her mission to invest in the team.
mm,
And then at
mm.
the end of the visualization exercise, it's like, now you are the queen. You know,
You
you
know exactly. Yeah, yeah. Because this is chess, not checkers.
girl, yes.
And so the queen is the most powerful piece on the chessboard, and she gets to move at her will.
Mhm. Ooh,
And
that's just
so you're
good.
serving up chess. You're not serving up checkers.
Yes.
And so coming out of the checker mentality where it's one scoop, one jump, one whatever at a time, to free flowing
Yes.
and taking it all, doing it
Oh,
all, being it all,
yes.
knowing that you can have it all.
And that's how I felt like in 9 to 5, in them offices and in the meetings and in them Excel spreadsheets and stuff. I felt like this is not it.
You lost yourself in an Excel spreadsheet. I've done that. I was a business data analyst for
Mhm.
an acute care hospital,
Mhm.
and yeah, what? Yeah,
Restricting when you have experience and a gift and a purpose, you know, and so it's not to say that everyone is just called to quit their jobs, but it's to
no,
embrace, you know, embrace
absolutely.
that spirit of a queen and become impregnated, you know, by
Mm,
the vision that you have, and just make those decisions to invest in yourself, invest in getting help, invest in self development and self,
mm.
you know, invest in buying time back for yourself so that you can rest.
I know, right now. So Queen Elizabeth II passed the other day, and
Yeah.
our TVs are just laden with all the different things she did in being the longest, to have the longest reign of over 70 years,
Wow.
queening.
Yep. Yeah.
Queening up, and that wasn't even her. Her uncle is the reason her father became king, which makes her queen. But getting into her birthright,
Mhm.
and for 70 years ruling, whether people liked or disliked her, that's beside the point. But the fact of the matter is, she was known for being the queen,
Yes.
and
And
that's it. In
yes.
a room full of whoever's, she was
Right.
known to be the queen.
And it speaks of grace,
It does.
of authority again. It speaks of beauty and just a type of flow that's like fluid, like you said on the chessboard, you know? It's a fluid movement.
Mm, mm. Empowerment is awesomeness. But
Yes,
that's really understanding God's true favor on your life.
yes.
Just understanding that, yeah, you were chosen, and
Mhm.
not just chosen, but you were selected to do the purpose that He's put inside of you.
Exactly. And one thing that I'm learning for myself, which I'm tweaking as much as I can, is anytime I feel like I'm doing too much and this is too hard and I'm becoming a slave to what I'm doing. That's when I mean, that was the breaking point for me when I was
Mm,
working and also juggling my side business and family, and all of those things. It was like, this is too much. I'm becoming ugly trying to juggle
mm,
all
mm.
these things.
Yeah,
And now as an entrepreneur, it's like, okay, I'm taking Fridays off my calendar. Okay, I'm taking Mondays off my calendar to really just rest and really stop working in like the masculine energy where I'm
yeah.
just overworking, overdoing, grinding, hustling so that I can find more balance and more rest and beauty rest.
I love it. And I love that you chose those 2 days, because when I tell people that I selectively do not work on Mondays and Fridays, and they're like, what? And I'm like, no, I need to transition into my week, and then I need to transition into my weekend.
Come on, queen. Come on, queen.
And so they're like, girl, what are you talking about? These are things that I know in this period in my life that is they're required. They
Yes.
are required. So
Yes.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, let's work.
Mhm.
But the rest of the days, no.
Yes.
Monday and Friday, no. If I'm meeting with you on Monday and Friday, you have to know that you're special.
Oh.
You have to know. You have to know that yeah, that's a calling. That's a part of the calling. That
Yeah.
is not to be taken lightly. And I tell people, I don't normally meet with people on Mondays and Fridays. I don't,
Mhm.
because those are my transition days.
Yes, so beautiful, and it's like, I love it because it goes against the culture.
The training, the conditioning, the
Yes.
conditioning that
Yes.
a lot of us are have succumbed to, not
Mhm.
really understanding or even supporting what we've been conditioned to do. Like,
Right.
it feels unnatural
It does. It
because it
does.
is.
And it's like, you know, especially again, like, again, as a mother of 3 young children,
Mhm.
and I'm in my home, recently divorced or 2 years from divorce. I don't have to be a statistic. I don't have to be this grinding, ugly, bitter, tired mother,
Mm,
you know? And
yeah,
so with that truth that, God is my father, he's going to take care of me. I'm going to find my balance to ensure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
that
I'm just steady tweaking because I don't want my attitude to be foul. Like I want my energy to be right. And
absolutely,
that's those are the types of shots we can call less queen, you know?
absolutely, and being aware of the energy that you bring.
Yes.
Like, when you were talking self-awareness, a lot of people aren't even aware of the energy that they bring.
And why they're bringing that energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
And so,
it's not saying that it's ever going to be perfect, because I still have so many imperfect, so many crazy, insane, busy days. Today was one of them. But, it's to set to always expect more abundance, to always expect more beauty.
absolutely. And I think that's the thing about it. Like, it's not about perfection. I believe that perfection is an illusion that's made on but fashion and makeup. Like, perfection are those things that keeps us buying those things. We want the latest fashion because it makes us look a certain way. We want to put on the latest makeup because it makes us look a certain way. But I
Right.
think that when you show up in yourself raw, and
Yes.
you accept the dents, the flaws, the ups, the downs, the hectic days, the
Mhm.
days when you're like, woo, when you accept all of that, when you accept who you are in your totality,
Yes.
that you become a more powerful person, because it's in the stretch days that we actually grow and
Yes.
become.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, I look at um, First Lady Obama's Becoming,
Mhm.
and that book is about she's not done yet. Every day you're becoming who you were purposely put here to be.
Yes.
And so when you look at it from that perspective, it is a continuation of the growth. It's
Ex-
not a destination, it's a journey.
It is. And that's why, we always talk about destiny, right? Or the promised land, however you want
Mm,
to put it. But one thing that I try to be mindful of is that destiny is broken down into seasons and even
mhm.
moments. And we can experience destiny, this is a destiny moment. This
Yeah.
is, the promised land where we can have conversation, enlightened conversations like this. And so with perfection, we'll never be satisfied because we have this elusive idea of what destiny is. And I'll have this much money, I'll have this house, I'll have this car, I'll have these relationships. But destiny is any time that we sit down
Yes.
and be grateful and embrace the power of the moment.
Absolutely.
That's
Standing firmly.
shift.
Yeah, standing firmly in our power.
Yeah,
Standing firmly, flat-footed, standing in our power. I love, love, love this philosophy of life. And
yeah,
I hope that women are being empowered, that you feel something in you that motivates you to move and to contact Natalia.
yeah.
Natalia, if you will give us closing remarks, what one thought would you like women, Christian women, to take away from this conversation?
The one thought, it just came, is to really assess whether you're moving and operating in religion and tradition and and spiritual routines that are more constricting than they are liberating.
Mm,
So in order to evolve, we have to understand that we serve a living, breathing, responsive God that is so concerned and so full of gifts and experiences for us. And we won't be able to tap into those until we're consistently and intimately relating to him. You
yeah,
know, and casting our cares on him, casting, even being honest about the desires that we have, because those desires are what are going to stretch us and fuel us to receive and embrace and live out the abundance that God has for us in our lifestyle, in our finances, in our relationships, in our businesses, wherever we land. That's how
yeah.
we receive that abundance in relationship and not religious tradition, dead routines.
Mm, I love it. I love it. I love it. This has been a great conversation. My name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the business plug, and today I'm challenging women, Christian women, to find who you were meant to be. Hey, Bree, thank you for joining us. So Bree's joining us. Bree is an entrepreneur, a makeup artist, does wonderful works with makeup, and one of my students turned business owners, that business buddies that's out here in the world doing marvelous things. But I want to invite you to sample the Building Your Own Business classroom. And if you're interested in that, go ahead and inbox me now and let me know you're interested. Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock Eastern, we meet for a 2 hour session online. So you can do it in your pajamas online Saturday mornings for 2 hours, where we dive deep into business using the fast tracks organization by Kaufman, by the the Kauffman Foundation. The Kauffman Foundation is a world-renowned philanthropist for entrepreneurship. And so we use their platform to teach business owners how to do business well. If you're interested in a free sample of that class, of that course, go ahead and inbox me. And if you are a previous student that needs to refresh because it's been a minute since we were together, go ahead and inbox me as well so that you can join us Saturday mornings, 10 o'clock Eastern. I love this conversation. It has been a wonderful thing. I have plugged them in, honey. So the Christian women should be like tapping to get on board, to join the community, to understand what it is that God has put in their hearts to do, to be reconnected. Because we talked about that, how when you're in life, you get disconnected from your dreams, your ambition, and your purpose. And so how to get reconnected with those things so you can start living the life that you were designed to live.
Yes. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me. I enjoyed our conversation as well.
Well, thank you so much again for your yes. And we will see you next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, here on the Business Plugs Mixer. You guys have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.